You're the second person that I've connected with, and the other person was a monk. And he said that today people are not practicing Buddhism.
They're not.
They're following blindly.
Just following blindly, yeah.
And they don't understand the practice. And it's interesting that you're saying the same thing.
Yep. And a lot of people would be afraid to say what I'm saying, but excuse my language.
So you have no fear?
I have
There's
no fear. I'll tell Cambodians, if they do something wrong, I'll tell them they do wrong.
As a second-generation Vietnamese Cambodian American and a child of war survivors, there are gaps in my knowledge and understanding of my ancestral roots. Somehow, much of the art, the culture, the history never reached me. So this is my way of learning, growing, and healing through community.
How do we bring together the Khmer community? Right, because there's division within
That's
the community.
hard.
How do we?
So the Khmer community, Khmer people, you have to realize, was an empire, right?
What is that? Yeah, go ahead. Please explain.
Empire meaning you had different people from different tribes, different locations, different areas, right? And everyone, and they come from a feudalistic society. So a feudalistic society was created so that it wouldn't be taken over. So as one person falls, the next person is.
I want this to be listening.
Ask y'all what this is for?
Yeah, so I'm starting a new YouTube series where I'm highlighting Southeast Asian artists, community leaders. I'm Vietnamese and Cambodian, but I didn't grow up on the Cambodian side. So I'm taking this opportunity to connect with the community so that I can learn about my ancestral roots. So he's an artist, so I'm connecting with him. Yeah.
I'm dropping over here.
Please do.
I didn't know that the French occupied Cambodia. I thought it was the British.
Oh, French.
I'm Indian, so
Oh, you're Indian?
I'm relating to some of the shit you're saying.
Yeah, the British occupied you guys.
Yeah, the British,
East India
yes.
Company and stuff. Northern Indian or Southern?
All
Oh, right. Yeah.
the British were there until like the 50s, so it's like
Yeah.
pretty recent.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Until the 50s?
They were there.
Could be 1850 or something. But
They occupied India for so long.
For a very long time.
and you were saying like the French came and changed like the leaders, right?
Mhm.
They made infighting. Same thing, right?
Same thing with the British. That's why Gandhi, well,
And they furthered the caste system that we had.
Yeah.
Gandhi tried to get everybody together, and he did what he did to basically rid India of the British,
Wow.
and then gain independence. But India wasn't united as well. You have Pakistanis, you have Northern India, was divided by religion and caste system and.
The division into like Pakistan and India was also because of the British. Right? So they created the beef. Like there may have been a little bit of beef there, but they created
Bigger one.
Yeah, so they made the Pakistani leader pretty much attack India, and then people are just following like sheep, and it's like the beef is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll let y'all continue that.
Oh, thank you. So
Back to the feudalistic society that Cambodians come from.
yes.
So they created an empire, and not just the empire, but the culture, a feudalistic culture, goes way back to the times of Hindu gods, and like Cambodians were Hindu, so they believed in Shiva, and before Buddha there was Shiva, and before Shiva there was the Meru culture. Meru, we're going way back, but Meru, there's Mount Meru. And Indians believe Mount Meru, Cambodians believe there's a sacred place called Mount Meru. But Meru was actually an ancient ruler, and because of the way he ruled, he created a feudalistic society to bring the best of the best. Because once you guys keep going at it, Because somebody's gonna be on top. You see what I'm saying? So that's how Cambodia was. So you're from here, you're from here, you're from here, you're always going at it. But it takes one strong person to get everyone together.
Okay.
And it worked in those times. But it doesn't work in a time where someone's in the background feeding you either.
It's like coming from a different.
Yeah,
okay,
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not fighting for the same thing. And like, they're like, you could be financially backed by somebody else and they could feed you something else. This one financially backed by whatever, and they have this agenda and they have that agenda. But they're not really actually fighting for the same thing. Just fighting for control. And then once you're on top, whoever funds you or backs you up, they're the one really controlling. What's happening now in normal, China does this for this, America this for this.
Yeah.
Why are people doing this is because, why are money going to Ukraine? Because we're laundering money. Why is millions of dollars, billions go to Israel? Because basically, Israel, like our guard is on guard for America. You know what I'm saying? All that oil, they don't want Muslims, all those Muslims to unite and get along. Then they won't be. Then they'll,
It's divide and conquer.
Yeah, it's divide and conquer.
Divide and conquer. Okay.
The British did it. The Americans do it. All the superpowers do it. So that's what a feudalistic society is, and it's carried into the culture, into the people.
Like when you say feudalistic society, like there's one strong, or
They're always fighting.
they're always fighting.
There's no order.
There's
no
it's chaos.
Yeah, it's always chaos. But if you think you're on top, someone else is gonna challenge you to think they're on top. There's no authority. You know how in America, you have the president of the United States,
and
under the president, with chain of command, right?
Yep.
Or the police force or something.
There's
or the military.
order. There's order.
There's
order.
Structure. There's structure and order.
Okay, and in this case,
In the case with Cambodia, unless you're in the military or part of the government or whatever, besides those two things, a lot of people just...
there is no order, there is no structure.
No structure, they just live how they live, they just worry about their family. But, Buddhism comes into play, but the Buddhism, no offense to anybody, but the real Buddhism teacher, the real teachings of Buddha, is not actually being practiced. It's a practice. It's not a religion. You're not supposed to go to a statue and say, "Help me, Buddha, and fix everything for me." No.
It's a way of being.
It's a practice.
It's a practice.
You get what I'm saying? It's a folk. He gave you the teachings. You're supposed to practice it. If you don't practice it day in and day out, it doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
So, Cambodians actually are not really practicing Buddhism. They just believe in it.
That's so interesting.
That's why it's not working. That's why it's not working.
That is so interesting because...
Yes. The Buddha himself came to Southeast Asia, to Cambodia, to Thailand, and basically gave the teachings, gave the law, and said, if you guys do not follow my practices, this whole thing will end and it will crumble. And it did.
Oh my goodness.
You see what I'm saying? And it did. Southeast Asia was warring for so long. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people, not just Cambodians, Vietnamese, Chinese, the masses, Thai, Lao, whatever, they're not practicing Buddhist. They just believe in the Buddha. It's a difference.
Well, following
Yeah.
because you were born into a Buddhist
You're
family,
born into it,
right?
yeah.
And you don't really know. You
Yep.
just do by following without really understanding.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. I understand because I grew up Buddhist, so there are some things that I'm also trying to learn and understand as well.
Practice and understand.
Practice, yes.
It's not easy.
Yeah. From here, back to the question of how do you unite Cambodians, right? That was the how do you unite the community?
Before the community unites, or some type of structure of coming together, they're going through a deep phase of realizing who they are, what they are, and why. And it takes, the only way to unite Cambodians is if all the collective consciousness are the same and it comes together. I think that's the only way. You can't unite them with money, you can't unite them with anything material, it just doesn't work.
You said collective consciousness.
Yeah, knowing who they are, who they truly are, and a lot of people don't know who they truly are. They don't know their culture at all. Cambodian culture is very highly, like I told you, it's matrilineal. The men go to war or hunt or whatever. The women took care of business, raised strong men. Women raised strong men. When the French came in, they diluted that. You want to attack a culture, a race, attack their women. You see what I'm saying? They systematically weaken Khmer women with vanity, alcohol, all that. Khmer women was never like that. They took arms, they took swords and fought alongside their husbands in war. Yeah, same thing with Vietnamese.
Yes, there are matriarchal societies and communities within Vietnamese. Yes.
Same thing. They're actually distant cousins. Except the Vietnamese got conquered by the Chinese. The Cambodians actually intermarried with the Indians. But in reality, they're cousins. They're still Austro-Asiatic people. And the language is Austro-Asiatic. 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 Yep.
What is the connection between Cambodia and India?
So in Cambodia, there of course these indigenous people, but they didn't speak Khmer. They lived in the mountains, they lived in the woods, so many different tribes. And the Naga people came. The Naga was another ancient dynasty that came from India, but they ruled all of that whole area. Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, southern Vietnam. The Naga dynasty, or the people, their symbol. The Naga people were its ancient dynasty, and they had culture, way of life. Their symbol was the snake. And actually the Naga, there was the mountain Naga and the water Naga clans, the dynasty. Actually the Buddha's mother is part of one of the Naga as well, the Naga dynasty as well. And you see a symbol of a seven-headed snake. You see a symbol of the snake over the Buddha. The name was Mukalinda, but the name Mukalinda is actually Buddha's mother's brother, the uncle, basically with his dynasty protecting the Buddha. During those times, the Buddha was basically attacked, plotted on against by Brahmins and other sects of Hinduism. I'm sorry. They don't tell you that, but he was being plotted on, targeted. The Naga dynasty was at war with other dynasties of India, fighting for power, fighting for,
Why did they target him? Why did they target the Buddha?
He came from a prophecy and saying that he could basically take over the known world at the time. So, and that he wanted to challenge Hinduism, Brahmins, not Hindu, but basically Brahmins. Brahmins are a different sect of Hinduism. Actually, I don't call them Hindus, but they look at themselves as above everybody else. And there's a trinity. There's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Right? But all three come from different parts of that area. And basically, there was no trinity. Everyone was they were separated and believed by their own people and sects, but somehow they brought them together and created a trinity. But they're really separate. Brahmins don't intermarry with no one else but Brahmins. People that believe in Vishnu only believe in Vishnu, and people that believe in Shiva only believe in Shiva. They don't believe in all three, actually. So they say, but technically Yeah, Shiva was part of the Moon dynasty, the lunar. Vishnu was part of the solar. Moon and the sun and the moon always go against each other. This is true ancient Hinduism. And then Brahma was like, they say the top creator or whatever, but then the Brahmins believe that they are top of the caste and they control everything. They basically create kings. There's no king without Brahmin cleric or guidance. You see what I'm saying? So the Buddha challenged all that.
Wow.
He didn't believe in no God. He didn't believe in nothing. He said, life and energy is eternal. And, you have rebirth and, karma, and, all these things. But also the Buddha stated his teachings, his knowledge didn't just come overnight. It happened over many ages of rebirth and incarnation, So because of his teachings, it challenged how, and Buddhism did take over India and that whole area. It was strong. It was passed on by the Kushans into like Central Asia, Afghanistan, China. It was like huge at the time, it spread like wildfire. And then not only after the Buddha died, you have the Mauryans and Ashok, King Ashok, another king that was like, he was a murderer at the time. It was like, he was, India had all these different dynasties and like royals challenging each other. And this guy was like a killer. I'm telling you, he like wiped out half of India.
Wow.
And then decided to become Buddhist.
What?
Yeah.
How did that?
I don't know. But because of him, also the teachings of the Buddha passed to everywhere. Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia. The Buddha came and challenged a lot of things.
Yeah.
And they wanted him dead, but like I said, he was protected by his family, by his mother's side of the family. And his father was a Sakya. They were also hated and like tribalistic type of rulers, They were like known to Indians as outsiders. They're not native to India.
Wow. That's a lot.
Even though they say Buddha is born in Nepal, in actual fact, his mother is Indian, yes. Naga, like the ancient. But they don't tell you these things. And Cambodia holds the source of that, you see? Because the Nagas went and took over Cambodia. And after they left India, they basically went into Cambodia. They were actually the ancient rulers of Cambodia. That's why we see the snake symbols all over, everywhere. And the Naga is matriarchal.
Matriarchal?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Based on, you can't be a king unless your mother was the queen. See what I'm saying? You don't come from the queen. You can't be the king. You're not a legitimate king.
Wow.
Crazy, right? And this culture or whatever society basically left India. They deemed the snake in India basically evil or underground type of beings.
Okay.
Yeah. But actually, they ruled India at one point. And Shiva, when you look at a picture of Shiva, there's a snake all over him. So Shiva is connected to the Naga, and a lot of people in Cambodia at the time were half Shivas, half Buddhists, because they align with each other from the same dynasties.
So that's the connection.
Which is the lunar dynasty.
The lunar dynasty.
And then the lunar calendar.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? China with its dragon, draconian, or the serpent. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These all connected to each other. Even the symbols of the serpent all across the world, or in the Middle East, or all those. If you see a serpent symbol, it's all connected to an ancient order.
Ancient order.
The lunar. Even Jews, their ancient calendar is based on the lunar calendar. Yeah. And you can look at Muslims, their symbol is the moon and the star, the crescent moon. And that area, in those lands, the ancient god was the moon god before Abraham and all these other prophets came about and talked about monotheism.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot that's
Yeah.
here, and I
So-
feel like there's a lot of like iterations of history
Yeah.
and stories. And how did you come to like? I know you're passionate about history.
Yes. You connect the dots, and you learn, you read ancient, you can find treasures and gems all over internet or or books. There's a lot of books on it. But if you read religious books like the ancient religious books of Buddha Vamsa, Mahavamsa, all these different books that were written by the Buddhist point of view or the Buddhist side, it hasn't been tampered with.
I want to find.
Yeah, you'll find it. Yeah,
I want to.
yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Buddhism always speaks about, there's pillars, right? The truth is one of the pillars of Buddhism.
You're the second person that I've connected with in the last, let's say, 2 weeks, and the other person was a monk. The other person was a monk, and he said that today people are not practicing Buddhism.
They're not.
They're following blindly.
They're following blindly, yeah.
They're following blindly, and they don't understand the practice or even why bowing, the significance of bowing. And it's interesting that you're saying the same thing.
Yep.
And it's
And a lot of people would be afraid to say what I'm saying, but excuse my language.
So you have no fear.
I have
There's no fear.
I'll tell Cambodians if they do something wrong, I'll tell them they do wrong.
Yeah.
I have no fear.
So it's interesting that majority of Cambodians believe in Theravada Buddhism.
Yes.
Believe, yeah, but not practice.
Yes. And Theravada Buddhism is more of about yourself. It's more about self, self-attainment, self-everything, right? And it's more of the ancient way to the Buddha, right? But because of Buddha's teaching, now you have the Mahayana. So Mahayana means the bigger wheel. In actual fact, Cambodia, the kings was Mahayana. They weren't Theravada.
The kings.
It was the people who weren't royalty, the commoners, gravitated towards Theravada more, which means they don't care much about others or a bigger, broader.
What are the different?
So self, basically, you're only worried about yourself, how you can fix yourself and keep your life simple, right?
Okay.
You try to attain enlightenment, but it's hard to do, but it's basically about self. Mahayana more is based on you cannot get enlightenment. You basically have to go back and help the people. That's your way of enlightenment or doing right by this type of teaching. So if you think you've gotten somewhere, you're supposed to stop yourself and go back and live with everybody else.
That's Mahayana.
Mahayana, yeah. And they call those type of people there's a word for it.
Bodhisattva.
Bodhisattva.
But then Bodhisattva has a different definition under Theravada.
Yeah, Bodhisattva has a different definition under Theravada, and Mahayana they have a different definition. So your goal as a Mahayana is to be a Bodhisattva, not someone who becomes enlightened and then just.
That's my.
Yeah, that's Mahayana. But Theravada, they try to reach enlightenment, but then you can only do that by yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And more Mahayana focuses on group. On if you become a Bodhisattva, you go back into the life cycle and teach and bring. You get what I'm trying to say? So, in actual fact, any Mahayana country that believes in Mahayana is more prosperous than the actual Theravada country. If you really think about it.
I have.
Thank you. Take care.
I have an assumption about that, or the first thought, not assumption, but like the first thought that comes to mind is
Vietnam is Mahayana. The only one that's prospering more than anyone that's Theravada is actually Thailand, but they're not really practicing Buddhist either. They just believe in the statue and pray to it.
how. I mean, you can't generalize that though, can you?
No,
You can't
you can't generalize it, but how I look at things and how I see things is why I'm saying it is the way it is. Because only a small percentage of people actually practice it. And the people that blindly follow need that small percentage that actually practices. You see what I'm saying? To lead the way. So that's why I say it's like that.
I see.
Every one of them can't perform Buddhist rituals or whatever, or chants on their own. They need to
You need
follow somebody or hire somebody that knows you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is why I say that. Because if you were all practicing Buddhists, you would need no monk. Have a good one, man. About some check. Do you want a drink or something?
Oh,
Or
I'm
like
fine,
a
thank
coffee to go or something? Iced coffee?
No.
Sure?
Oh, this is.
How was the food?
It
So
was
good, right?
It was good. I am full. Yes, it was really good. I'm happy that there's a good mixture of proteins and vegetables and carbs. We haven't really talked about your art.
Oh yeah, let's do it. We have 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Back to my art. I came from parents that father's a singer. Father's a music composer, mother's a singer, and and I didn't realize how gifted I was when it comes to their ability and their art.
It was passed down.
Yeah,
to
I would
you.
say passed down, and
Yes.
I never really learned how to utilize what I got from them. And I just know that I was just banging on things, so that makes me a percussionist. I was taking chopsticks and hitting things and banging things and, playing things in tune and within rhythm and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I got rhythm. I can follow a beat. I liked rock and roll, hip hop, you name it, But my dad would hit me and say, don't watch MTV because it's poison for your brain. And he was right. And he's right. It was a lot of propaganda, but music, at the time, that's the only source of music that we had, radio and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So one day I was on the radio and this music came on. I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was house music. And it was techno. And I just somehow gravitated towards it because there were so many different sounds, all in sync with each other. There were so many different layers, but they were all playing together. Cambodian music is the same way. Ancient Cambodian music. There's all these different layers, all these different sounds. There's percussion, there's wind, there's string, there's everything, right? I was in love with it, And I didn't know how to make music because I wasn't interested in making house and techno at the time. I was too young. I was just so saturated in the sounds that it took me to places out of my mind, out of my head. And like I said, I grew up in poverty, inner city. It was like an outlet for me to escape my troubles and my griefs and everything else negative that was going on in my life.
Yeah.
So because it was able to do that, there was a cosmic battle within my own self. Being drawn to the streets, feeding the dark energy, the negative energy.
AKA, he's an OG. Yes. To put it simply, you're an OG.
And then
Yes.
listening to house music, being around.
That's two different worlds.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I went to all these events and I was around gay, straight, old, young, black, white. It didn't matter. All that mattered that we was all under the same roof, under one sound, uniting and in the same frequency.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't explain that to the people that I was around in this
It's
part.
different consciousness.
Different part of the world. But I'm glad that my soul gravitated towards that because it gave me hope, it gave me an outlook.
Yeah.
But yes, it was, like I said, I was going through a battle within myself.
Wow.
So I would feed myself on this side, and then when I needed time to escape this part, I would go there, but then it would get pulled back into each other, you know?
I mean, so it sounds like the music saved you.
It did. The music saved me. It gave me hope. It made me creative. You know, it made me feel like if I put house music or techno music on, because of the way it's directed and styled, it's repetitive, but it's not just repetitive. So a normal person may think, oh, it all sounds the same. No, it does not.
Yeah.
They're just not as educated into understanding.
To be able to hear the different layers.
They're not as educated. So ever since then, I knew I was a cut above the rest. When it comes to sound, when it comes to rhythm, soul, you name it.
Wow.
Like I do feel that I'm not I don't have a normal ear.
Yeah.
It's very sophisticated, very intelligent. I play music, but also I deliver house techno or whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's a musical aspect to it, and there's a science to it. And not normal people don't understand that.
But the power of sound. I just want to. Okay, you got to go.
Maybe like 5 minutes.
5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the power of sound is powerful. You know that because of what you do for your living.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know we're on a time crunch here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would love to just ask you two more remaining questions. Shifting gears, talking about the power of sound.
Yes.
The plan is to go to Vietnam and Cambodia.
Yes.
And to go explore the ancient sounds.
Yes.
We'll create a new conscious music album that infuses the ancient sounds.
Yes.
My question was, what are your thoughts on the project, and what do the people need to hear about this project?
My thoughts on the project is very optimistic, and it's great, but it's not going to happen overnight. And Alcina needs our support, our full support, and needs your feedback. And what she's doing is a very, very tough thing to do. But I can see that you have the strength to do it and the passion for it. And God and Buddha and powers to be will always be there for you, because you generate this good energy. You have this good soul, and you have a purpose. And this is why I believe that you work.
Hi friend, it's Alcina. I wanted to come in here and say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my journey. If you enjoyed this video, and maybe you have been following me throughout the whole entire Healing Through Community series, and you are behind the mission of generational healing, please consider contributing, donating to the Sound of Healing documentary project, where we go to Vietnam and Cambodia to go learn what the ancient sounds are, to then incorporate that into new conscious healing music. If you haven't heard my music yet, this is the time to do so. I'll include the link down below for you to check it out. It's on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, so that you can better understand what is conscious music, what is healing music. It's music that it's intentional to make you feel good, uplift you, motivate you. This is your opportunity to be a part of a project that will impact generations and promote healing beyond time and space and beyond the physical realm. This is a project that is near and dear to my heart, and it is also a divinely guided project. Next year will be the 50th anniversary since the end of the Vietnam War, and the 50th anniversary since the start of the Cambodian genocide. 2025 is a big year, and that is our deadline to finish this project. But we can't do this project without your support. So please do what you can, spread the word, and if you can contribute, please do. And let me know if you have any questions, feedback, thoughts. Thank you for your consideration, and let's continue to heal and grow together. Bye for now.